Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for a discussion about LACourtConnect 2.0. My name is David Slayton, and I'm the Executive Officer and Clerk of Court for the Los Angeles Superior Court. Again, thanks for joining us today as we talk about exciting news from our perspective about how we'll be updating LACourtConnect in the coming weeks. As you all know, LACourtConnect has been being used by the Superior Court for a little while now. And we have heard back from many of you, judicial officers and other staff, about improvements that can be made to the platform. And we are really excited to finally be able to roll that out in the coming weeks across our various litigation areas so that you will have an improved experience as well as the judicial officers and staff. So thanks again for joining us as we do that. Before I get started with the presentation, I wanted to just let you know that we are in webinar mode, and so you're not on camera. We can't see you or hear you, but there is a way for you to communicate questions to us that we would prefer that you use. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A button, and we will be monitoring questions throughout the webinar, and we'll be answering as many of those as we can. Some of those might be answered directly in that chat, so if it's sort of basic, simple questions that we can answer, you'll see those answers populate in that Q&A box. And then we'll save some time at the end to answer Q&A questions at the end of the presentation. So with that, I'm going to get started with the presentation. I should say one more thing. The webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on the LACPA site as well as on the LACourtConnect attorney portal. And so you'll be able to go back and watch this or share it with other colleagues that you choose to do so. And we will be posting the materials. I see someone's already asked that question. We'll post the materials on the LACourtConnect attorney portal later today. Okay, so jumping right in to the webinar, let me just kind of talk first about how you will need to access LACourtConnect. And the key things are there are 4 ways that you will be able to access LACourtConnect going forward. And the recommended way is through the LACourtConnect computer app. So this is an app that you can download from LACourtConnect's attorney portal and the LACourtConnect pages of the court's website. So those will be posted. The links to be able to download those will be posted actually today. So you'll be able to go on and download that app. That is one way to do it. The other way is through the browser. This is a very similar experience to the computer app. The only difference between the two are that the browser model doesn't allow for the upgraded noise cancellation. So part of the app has all the rich features that are available at LACourtConnect through that app. But the step down in the browser is that there's no upgraded noise cancellation. I will point out, if you have an older computer or a computer with less memory, some of the features in the application might not work exactly the way they should. So if that's the case and you start experiencing issues, we would encourage you to shift to the browser version because those will provide for you a better experience. But the number one recommendation is to do it through the LACourtConnect computer application. In addition to those 2 computer-based ways of accessing the system, there is an ability to join LACourtConnect via dial-in phones. And so basically, someone can call in just like they could call in before. And so anyone who's on a landline or a mobile device can do so. And those will be ways where people are not appearing on video, or if they're in a place where they don't have strong network connection, where a video experience might degrade the opportunity. So anyone can always appear by phone if they choose to do so. The last way is there's actually a mobile app, which again, the links to download that will be on the LACourtConnect attorney portal and LACourtConnect pages today. But the mobile application does allow for video and audio. So on the go, you could use your mobile device to connect to court. But you obviously need to have a stronger connection to make sure that video and audio is good enough to be able to transmit through the network to that. Should point out that on the mobile application, there are no, there are no background options. We'll be talking about backgrounds in a minute. There are no background options on that method, nor is there noise cancellation available. So again, not all the features are available, but that's the case. One very key thing is if you're using the mobile application and you receive an incoming call, it will disconnect you from the active hearing, and you have to refresh the app to reconnect. So if there are ways for you to put your phone on Do Not Disturb, in that time, we would encourage it if you're using the mobile application. So let's talk about what are the hearings, and we're going to divide the changes, and we're going to divide these into 3 different categories. The changes from LACourtConnect 1.0, as we'll call it, to LACourtConnect 2.0, really divided into 3 areas: before the hearing, during the hearing, and after the hearing. So that's how we're going to look at this. And this presentation assumes that you know enough about LACourtConnect 1.0 to be able to sort of know what the differences are. The first one is that you'll see that there's a more modern and intuitive look and feel to the application. So we're trying to, again, bring back feedback from those of you who've provided that to us and mailed that into the system. In addition, one of the major new features is that the courtroom can now initiate a chat with participants in the virtual gallery, something that wasn't available before. So if a judicial assistant or someone else from inside the courtroom wants to communicate with people in the gallery about, we're going to be 5 minutes late or whatever, they'll be able to do that now in the future. One of the biggest things you'll see, and we're really excited to show this to you, and perhaps maybe the biggest improvement from our perspective, based upon feedback from you all, is a seamless transition into the virtual well. So those are the changes during the hearing. So let's just jump right into the first one. So the first one with regard to the look and feel is really a new layout that will really hopefully optimize the hearing experience. We'll also make sure that during the hearing that there's ability to see dial-in participants more easily. So as you know, you'll see, right now it's been the phone number. We're actually going to have people's names, and you'll see that. And then we allow people to edit their display name so that we can make sure we have the right participant labels, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And then lastly, background options will be available to preserve, making sure that there's a focused environment in the hearing. And then we'll talk a little about what the changes are after the hearing. And the primary one is that it is more of a seamless return to the virtual gallery after the hearing ends. And so again, you'll see this in just a second. So let's just dive in a little bit more deeply into those changes before the hearing. And we'll start with the modern look and feel. So you'll see here a screen that shows what the new LACourtConnect 2.0 will look like from the attorney and litigant perspective. And one of the things that we've done is we've tried to keep things somewhat in the same place as they were in LACourtConnect 1.0, just so that you can find the things you need. And I will point out that this is showing you in dark mode. There's also light mode or white mode. So you get to choose between the two. We find the dark mode to be easier, but certainly that's something for you to, you can change on your own customized settings. You can see over on the left-hand side of the screen, the upcoming cases that you've registered for. And so just an example here, it shows also whether or not the court's in session or not. You can see the indication whether it's not in session or active. Announcements at the bottom. And then over on the right-hand side of the screen, you can actually see an ability for you to be monitoring the courtroom. So you'll see this in a little bit more detail in a minute, but basically you can jump between courtroom to courtroom and monitor what's going on at the courtrooms inside this without having to open a bunch of tabs. And then lastly, on the bottom right, you will see the ability to chat with other individuals that are in the gallery as well. So that's there as well. So the other thing that we think is really important is that you're able to monitor those courtrooms more conveniently. As you know, right now, when you try to monitor courtrooms, you have multiple tabs open and you have to be scrolling between the tabs, trying to remember which tab's which. Within LACourtConnect, you can just toggle between there. And this is showing an example of what that looks like. So in this example, the user has clicked on the Stanley Moss Department 67. And so you can see over on the left-hand side, it's going to show the view of the courtroom. So you'll see the judge, the courtroom, active speaker, any other participants that are in there. And then if you wanted to choose to go over to an MSC courtroom as the second example here, a probate courtroom, you could jump and just click that tab and it would change the screen on the left to that courtroom. So you can literally toggle back and forth between them seamlessly so you can be monitoring courtrooms more effectively. So that's really one of the main things with being able to do that. In addition, we're allowing courtrooms to now, again, initiate that participant chat with anyone who's in the virtual gallery. So you will see an example here where you get a chat from, say, the judicial assistant. It's sort of similar to any other experience you would have on any other platforms. That it will notify you with a badge, a little red badge that will show you have a chat. But then you can click on the chat, and then you see the notification on the left of the screen here, and on the right, once you've clicked it, you can have a chat back and forth with those individuals. It's important to note that you can continue to create group chats. So if you want to get other parties or attorneys into a group chat, you can still do that through the platform. And you can even initiate a video chat. So if you're interested in sort of getting everyone into a room before the hearing and discussing issues, that is possible for you as well. Lastly, before the hearing, this is a big change. As you all know, one of the things we've heard from a lot of you is the frustration of all the clicks necessary to get from the virtual well into the courtroom, and sometimes even perhaps missing those things you need to click. So you'll see that it looks a lot different. This is what you're used to seeing, a bunch of things you have to click along the way to get into that. What you'll see now is that when you're registered for a hearing and the judicial assistant or the courtroom initiates the hearing, that you'll be automatically pulled into the virtual well when that starts if you're not already in that department. Should be note, if you're not already in a department. If you are already in a department at the time that the courtroom initiates the hearing, it will not pull you out of the other department. It will just, you'll be left in the department that you're in. It will also provide a notification for you, both an audible and a visual notification. You're seeing the visual notification here on the screen, which is indicating to you that the probate MSC department is about to open, and so you're going to be moved into the hearing. And it's about a 5-second delay after you receive this audible and visual notification until you're actually pulled into the courtroom. So you won't have to click anything; it automatically happens. That transition already pulls you in there. So no more lot of clicking here. You'll see that under the new LACourtConnect, no extra clicks are necessary. Let's talk about what the changes are during the hearing, which are to really kind of make sure that you have a good experience while you're in a hearing. And the key thing is really thinking about what you're going to see on your screen. As those of you who are currently using LACourtConnect, you know that there are a lot of sort of needless tiles or bots that are shown, and it's just the way that the features work right now, that you see an LACC bot, an LACC phone bot, and a virtual gallery. Those will no longer be present in the virtual gallery occupying space. In addition, as you know, sometimes it's hard to find where's the judge at, where's the courtroom at, and so you'll see that we've tried to solve for those issues. And this is the way that the new system will look. Based upon feedback from many of you and from others, you'll see that the top line of the tiles will provide for you really what you need to know, and so that you can focus on really the key participants. The judge will always be in the upper left of the screen. It will not move. No matter which hearing you're in, you will see the judge upper left. The middle section will be the courtroom. And you might say, well, why is it so big? Well, first of all, you can see a wide view here, but also in the future, you'll see that there might be multiple views as the courts begin to install more camera equipment into the courtrooms. You might see multiple views. For instance, you might see this view and also the witness view at the same time. But basically, the middle section will be the courtroom view. And then over on the upper right side, you will see whoever is the active speaker, and this will shift as individuals speak. So if I'm speaking now, I would be showing in that. If another participant were to begin speaking, then I will shift, or that person will shift to that box. If both of us are speaking at the same time, which of course would never happen in a courtroom, but if it does happen, then the green box will go around the other speaker, so you'll be able to tell who is speaking. It's important to note that when individuals, let's say there are 50 people in the courtroom at the same time, the virtual courtroom, those who are on video will be shown on the first screen, or basically they'll be populated first. Those who are off video will be on sort of further screens, similar to what you experience through Teams and other platforms now. And so if you're not actively participating in a hearing, it's likely that you'll be asked to turn off your camera so that Those who are active will be on the first page or the first or second page of the screen. So otherwise, it sort of puts them in line as to when people come in the courtroom. So it's likely if a JA starts all the hearings for a calendar at once, those who are not actively involved in the hearing will be asked to turn their cameras off while that's going on. In addition to that, one of the things we heard back from you and from judicial officers and others is frustration when people call in. How do we know who 303 blah 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 is on there? And you'll see, you know, the example now is it's not very helpful to see a bunch of asterisks and a number. So no need to look up people based upon their names. When individuals register for a hearing and appear remotely via phone, it will actually have their name that they used during registration. So again, you won't have to worry about numbers. It's really based upon names. It is possible for the courtroom to modify these names. So if for some reason someone were to put the wrong name in registration, you'll see more about this in a second, but basically the court can make sure that it's clear of who these individuals are going forward. To that point, you'll see that it's possible for the courtroom to edit the display name of dial-in and video participants. So if for some reason you're using video and your name is wrong, which we'll talk about in just a second more, the courtroom can edit that as well. It should be clear that when you are entering a courtroom for the first time, it will display the name of your computer. So if for some reason your computer is named Workplace 8, when you show up in the courtroom, it will say Workplace 8. You are able to go into your profile and edit your name. And in the future, when you enter the courtroom from that computer, it will remember that your name is Nancy Drew in this instance, and it will always use Nancy Drew. If for some reason you're not able to do that, the courtroom can edit that for you. But if you change computers, please note that it might also do the same thing with that and put your computer name there versus your actual name. So just be aware of that, and you will see from some of the videos we've put out, as well as the sandbox, the ability to go in and change your name so that that's available to you in the hearing. The last thing is we've heard from many of you the need to have background options so that you can make sure that that's available. And not too exciting, but the court has provided for you 2 solid colored background options. We have a light color and a dark color, light blue and dark blue. So there's no ability to upload any customized backgrounds. We've chosen these 2 backgrounds for you. So you will be able to choose them or not have a background. Those are really your choices. So please decide which one you would like to use and use those. Let's talk a little bit about really the end of the hearing. One of the things you might remember is when a hearing ends now, we see that you get this screen and you have to click update attendance to return to the virtual gallery. So some somewhat confusing ability to know how to go back to the virtual gallery. What will happen now is that when you end a hearing, you will go back to the screen automatically. So there's no need to really click any transition screens or anything like that. It will take you back here, again, where you can monitor courtrooms, see what's going on, toggle between them, or be pulled into a session. Or if you come back here and you notice that you were in a hearing and your hearing that you were hoping to be a part of shows to be in session, you can click the join button and join that hearing that's already in progress, or that might already be ready to be in progress. So again, no need to really sort of figure out where to go. It will pull you back here. We should note that if there's a dial-in participant, they will be disconnected and have to reconnect to that. But anyone who's on video or using one of the other methods of connection will come back to the main screen to monitor what's going on. So let's talk a little bit about what's next. Those are the features that are coming. We are deploying these updates pursuant to the schedule that's shown here on the screen. We'll be starting with the probate courtrooms and departments on September the 1st. About a month later, 4 weeks later, we will then proceed to implementing in traffic on September 29th, family law on October the 6th, and civil on October the 13th. So that's really the schedule over the next couple of weeks. And if you are interested in finding out more updates as we get closer to those dates, and you see the website here for the LACourtConnect attorney portal, attorney portal. So you can go to this website to find out any of the latest updates. We would encourage you over the next several weeks to try out sandbox sessions. So this is where you can literally, in a sense, play with the system with individuals from our team online to help you explore the features, answer questions, help you set up your profile, whatever it is you're interested in doing. Those start next Tuesday. We'll be doing them on Tuesdays from 11 to 12, right before lunch, and Thursdays right after lunch from 1 to 2. Those will be from August 22nd through September 5th in advance and right after probate goes live. And then again, September the 19th through October the 17th in conjunction with the other go live dates around traffic, family law, and civil. So with that, those are the basic pieces of information we wanted to convey to you today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hopefully try to answer some of the questions that have come in. So just so you know, the materials will be again made available on the LACourtConnect website, so you'll be able to get access to that later today. So where can I get help with getting teams to connect so that I can attend my hearings? One thing that's important to note with this platform is that it's still there, not to get too much in the weeds, still connected to Teams, but basically it's not through Teams anymore. It will be through that application which I described earlier. So if you go and download the application from the LACourtConnect website or use the browser version, it's that is it. There's no longer a need to sort of go through Teams to get to the courtroom any longer. So hopefully if you can check out the sandbox, you'll see how that works, but there's no longer, again, a need to go through Teams for that. Will the new version of LACourtConnect allow for the admission of support persons under Family Code Section 6303? So basically, there's no real changes in the registration system. So you will still register, and to the degree of sort of under this specific section, I would need to look that up. We'll try to get you an answer to that question. But as far as who can register, how the registration process happens, all of that's something to know. One thing that's worth noting is, I should have mentioned this a second ago, probate registration for hearings starting on September 1st under the new system opens today. So you can begin to register for your hearing September 1st or thereafter as early as today on the LACourtConnect 2.0 website. I'm going to turn to my colleague, Michelle Scott, on the next question, which was, does the app work on a Mac?
Hi, everyone. It does work on a Mac. I'm on a Mac now. We've been testing on the Mac. The Mac download will probably be more delayed than the Windows one, but next week before we start the rollout.
Great. Thank you so much, Michelle. The next question, in the current version, after I'm joined to the court session and waiting for my matter, I often get a confusing LACC alert to join the court session a second time. I've learned to just ignore that alert, but is there a way to avoid that in LACourtConnect? You are not alone in expressing your frustration about all the various things popping up and which ones do I click. And so as I was pointing out, something that we're really excited about is that you will no longer have to be clicking a bunch of things to get into the courtroom. When the courtroom decides it's time to start the hearing, unless you're in another department in the hearing already actively, you will automatically be pulled in with no need to click a bunch of things. So hopefully we have addressed that issue going forward. Will we be able to appear at 2 hearings scheduled at the same time? Can we dash back and forth? So obviously, unless you have the ability to teleport yourself, we won't be able to appear both of them at the same time, but you can shift back and forth between the hearings. So one, you could be monitoring both courtrooms at the same time through that the gallery feature. So you could click back and forth, toggling to sort of monitor where the court is on the schedule and check and sort of be following along where things are. If you're in one hearing and you're waiting and you want to see, you could be in the courtroom, in the actual courtroom, and you want to see what's going on with the other one. You could leave that hearing by clicking the end button. You could go back very seamlessly to the gallery page I was showing you earlier, and then monitor the other courtroom or join the other courtroom if it already happens to be in progress. So there's ability for you to shift, we believe, fairly seamlessly back and forth between the various courtrooms. And so if they're scheduled at the same time, you can, number one, be monitoring both courtrooms at the same time. Maybe one of them pulls you in because they're starting theirs, and then you could exit and go to the other one at any point in time, and then go back to the other courtroom if you want. So hopefully, again, it's pretty seamless. Once those hearings are started, you can click the Join Now button and join those courtrooms. Will we be able to chat with the JA privately? Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the ability to chat to the courtroom is not permissible. So you can't initiate a chat to the JA privately. And Michelle is shaking her head. So apparently I'm getting that one right. So the courtroom can chat with you, but you can't initiate chats the other way. That was intentionally set up that way. If you want to observe a hearing as a member of the public or interested party, rather than as a participant, is there a way to do that without registering and showing up in the portal? So the court's policy is that LACourtConnect is meant for participants in the hearing, and that's it. Members of the public or other interested parties. Well, I should also say, witnesses, other participants actually in the proceeding are allowed to do so, but the public or other interested parties are not allowed to use LACourtConnect to observe. The courtrooms are open and available for that observation. So if someone wants to observe that, they should be doing that in person. Currently, there's not a mechanism to do that through LACourtConnect. When will mental health be done? Michelle, is that with probate? I should know the answer to this.
That is not. That's TBD.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay, I was forgetting for a second. We are working on the other litigation areas to bring them into LACourtConnect. Some of those, I believe those are the ones that are being done through WebEx, and those there's some features that we need to add into LACourtConnect that will make those other litigation areas more seamless. And so as we get those features in, we'll be bringing in the other areas. But for right now, mental health will be waiting for those enhancements. Where do we find the attorney sandbox? Michelle, can you take that question?
Yes. So there's a lot of interest in the attorney sandbox, as well as how to find information and for downloads, etc. So information will be uploaded tonight in the LACourt.org website. And I'm sure you can find your way to either LACourtConnect or your attorney portal. All the information will be spelled out there. Yeah.
Great. So next, yes, thank you. So we'll have that posted this evening, along with all the other information that I've been referencing being posted today. So stay tuned, maybe check it out tomorrow morning. Are there any updates for clients to create a profile and sign up for their hearings? So individuals will register through the same registration system that was available. So there's no real need to do anything differently other than what they've been doing. Again, when the couple of enhancements are that if they're appearing via phone, when they register, the name that they put in there will be what will show up in the courtroom when they dial in. But other than that, they'll be able to participate just as they always have. How can we use the breakout rooms? So I suppose you're referring to, there's sort of two different kinds of breakout rooms. There's the ones that are sort of chat breakout rooms pre-hearing. When you are on the screen, sort of the main screen, when you get into LACourtConnect, there's the ability to initiate a group chat. When you initiate a group chat, it'll ask you who you want to participate in the group chat. You can name those folks, and then you can be entered into a chat room, which can be just text only. You could do audio, or you can do video. So you can just sort of do all of the above, and so that can function along that way. With regard to breakout rooms inside of a courtroom, that's a feature that the judges will be controlling, and so that one won't be so much available to you at that point. Next question: do my clients who wish to attend the hearings virtually to observe need to download the app as well and set it up again. So as I said earlier, there are 4 ways to participate in the hearings, via the app, via the browser, dial-in only, or on the mobile app. Anyone wishing to attend an LACourtConnect proceeding after September 1st or the other dates as laid out for the other litigation areas will need to use the new platform. So they either need to use the new app, the browser version, the dial-in version will still be obviously a phone, or the mobile app. So yes, the bottom line answer I think here is that they need to download the app or use one of those other mechanisms and set it up to be able to use the system. Question, is it still the position of the courts that they prefer that you appear via LACourtConnect, or do they want us to come back to the courthouse? I seem to be getting mixed messages from different judges. I won't speak to what individual judges are really wishing for you, but the court was very supportive of having the legislature extend the authority for courts to allow people to choose to appear remotely or choose to appear in person, whichever they would like. And at this point, the policy of the court is that it is an attorney or litigant's choice as to how they appear via LACourtConnect or in the courtroom. Let's see. Someone says they're in the attorney portal. Where can I find the app? And I believe Michelle's indication was, and maybe I was misstating this a little bit, that it's actually being uploaded this evening. All the materials are being uploaded this evening. So check back tomorrow. All that information will be there, so you can download that. Next question, will a hearing schedule, the various matters and matter ID be available on the system? So the ones which you're registered for, when you log in, they will all be on the left-hand side of the screen. So you'll be able to see that. So when you start registering, and Michelle, I'm having a brain lapse right here of, I believe it's still 30 days in advance of the hearing. You can start registering. Is that, remind me of the time?
It's 14 days for now until after all the deployments have been completed.
Yeah. Okay, so it will ship. So right now, you need to register at least 14 days in advance, and then that will. So anyway, basically, you will register, and once you're registered, when you go in for that date, you will see the hearings that are available for you that you've been registered for. The question, are the media also excluded? I assume that means from using LACourtConnect, and the answer is yes. The only people that are authorized to use LACourtConnect are attorneys, litigants, witnesses, specifically parties that are involved in the proceeding that's it's proceeding before the judge. Next question, some probate court departments don't always turn on courtroom monitoring. Will courtroom monitoring always be on, or will it still be optional? So the way that works right now is that it's based upon the webcam that the judicial assistant has. And so the judicial assistant controls whether that is on or off right now. And so I think for now it will stay as it is. We are working on installing updated sound and video equipment throughout the court across the county. And so as those go into effect, they will be cameras which are sort of laser focused on the witness, for instance, or on the judge, or on, so the views will look very differently. Right now, those have been based upon webcams that are on individual judges or JA's devices. So as those change, this will change. But for now, nothing will be changing with regard to the courtroom monitoring. Next question, as an assistant to an attorney who may be running late to a hearing, I may need to advise the court, how do I go about doing this? Do I log in with their credentials? Is there something I can click on at the virtual gallery? As I was indicating a few seconds ago, there's not an ability for someone to chat privately with the courtroom. So please contact the court through the normal means that you would contact, whether that's by phone or email or other ways that you would do so, not through the platform. The only thing I would say about logging in is if you log in with an attorney's credentials and the courtroom starts the hearing, they are going to automatically be pulled in. So it's important for you to communicate to the courtroom the situation that's going on. If you do happen to be logged in, obviously you can monitor what's going on in the courtroom, so you could advise the attorneys or others that are, let's say the judge is still in the middle of X hearing, you can be advising them about that. But as far as communicating with the court, you'll need to do that through the normal means. Next question. Now, if you represent a client who is not yet a party, you can't select a party in the party list because they're not there yet. So people are just choosing one. Is that resolved with this iteration? Michelle, I don't believe you made any changes to the registration system. Can you confirm that?
That is correct.
Okay.
Registration is the same.
So there's no change in the registration system, but thank you for pointing that out. We'll make sure that's on the list. The next question, does the court still want us to file notices of intent to appear remotely for LACourtConnect appearances? Michelle, do you know the answer to this one? I should probably know this, but I don't yet. So
I do not.
Yeah, I think I don't know that there may be certain courts that are asking you to do that, and I would communicate with them. Otherwise, I think the policy of the court generally is that you should register within the time frames necessary and choose to appear remotely if you so choose. But if there are courts, departments that are requiring you to file this notice of intent, please do not change based upon anything I said today. Please communicate with them about whether that's still necessary. Will closed captions be available? Michelle?
Not with this version, Dave.
Yeah,
not until it's approved. Mm-hmm.
So it's still on the list, but hasn't been put into effect yet. Okay, someone's asking more about the Family Code 6303. So we will look at that and see what we can look at. Does the new app work with Windows 10? I believe the answer is yes. Is that correct?
I'm saying yes, but I'm not real technical on all the different versions, so I have a question out right now.
So we will verify that. If there's some reason why it doesn't, we will post that on the attorney portal and on LACourtConnect's website. I think I totally confused this, Michelle, so stay on camera here for a second. So registration for hearings will remain at 14 days prior to the hearing, or will it be extended to 30 days like it was in the past? Can you speak to the registration timeframes now and then once all of the litigation areas go live?
Currently, hearings are available 14 days prior to the hearing date, and it will remain so until we complete all of the deployments that we have on the calendar, which is mid-October. So after civil, then you'll be able to register 30 days in advance.
And what's the deadline by which people must register to appear? So that's sort of when they can start appearing.
30 days in advance, 30 minutes before the registered start time of the hearing is the latest you can register for LAC.
So for right now, you can start 14 days in advance of the hearing, up to 30 minutes before the hearing. And then after the October date, when civil goes live, you can do it from 30 days in advance of the hearing up to 30 minutes before the hearing. So hopefully that cleared that up. Sorry for the confusion there. Can we find out about the need for notice of filing of intent to appear remotely and put it in the attorney portal so every lawyer doesn't have to call every department? Yes, we will do that. We will find that out. We'll do our best to find that out. Next question, will we be able to observe other hearings in our department or only our own? Yes, in the virtual gallery, you are able to observe the courtroom and whatever's going on in that courtroom. So if it's other hearings, you'll be able to observe that. I know one of the things that attorneys had asked us for is the ability to observe the hearings before, so you can sort of get a feel for how things are going. Yeah, absolutely, you'll be able to do that, and you can click between any of the departments that you're going to be going into. So certainly that's available to you, not just your own hearings. And I will point out that judicial assistants have options on how they start hearings. They can start them one by one. They can start them a calendar at a time. So they have the ability to sort of choose how they do that. So they may not be all exactly the same, but that'll be sort of a department by department decision. So you may be pulled into with 30 other hearings, or you may be pulled in one at a time. So that virtual gallery can be helpful in that regard. Is there an intention to make LACourtConnect the default for video appearances and adoption cases at the Edelman Children's Court in Monterey Park, which is using LACourtConnect? I'm sorry, using WebEx? If so, when? I was speaking about mental health a little bit ago. It is using WebEx. Criminals still using WebEx, and juvenile still using WebEx. And that's because some of the features that are necessary to make those litigation areas work. We are working on building those into LACourtConnect. They are not currently there, but the ultimate goal is to transition everything to LACourtConnect, including cases, including adoption cases, Edelman, and every other juvenile every case type that's in juvenile, so as well as criminal. So eventually, all of them will come over. We're just not there yet. So, will JAs still be able to send special links to allow an appearance in the event there's an issue with the initial registration? And the answer is no. You will need to register, and if you are not registered within that 30-minute period, then you will have to, the JAs will have to initiate a call to you from the courtroom. I believe is how that will be handled. How do you observe the hearings? I'm going to pop this back up if I can. Let me get my slides back to the right one. Sorry, and then I'll show this to you really quickly here. See if I can. I'll apologize for the scroll through the slides if I have to do this really quickly, but I want to show you the slide again because I think that's probably the easiest way to point this out. So on this screen, this is the main screen you will see in LACourtConnect whenever you're in the application. Over on the right, where it says Monitor Courtroom, these are all the various courtrooms where you're able to monitor, and you can literally just click one of the tabs, and it will open up a screen that looks like this. So when you click the tab, say the top one, Stanley Moss Department 67, it will pop up on the left-hand side an indication of this will be the court. This will be what's going on in the courtroom. If you want to look at MSC 250B, you can click the next one down, and it will switch over on the left hand to that courtroom. So you can literally toggle back and forth between those at the same time, and there's no need to have the multiple browsers like you had before. Will you be offering more of these webinars before 2.0 starts for civil? We weren't planning on it because we were recording this and we were posting it, but it's possible that we might. Certainly, if that would be helpful, there's no reason why we couldn't. But we will be. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted so that others can watch it as well. Will there be announcements on the illegality and punishment for recording or screenshots? I believe some parties are recording the proceeding on their cell phones. Attorneys all know better, but younger generation records and posts everything. So absolutely, when someone registers, when they get the information on the registration, it lets them know about the rules and the rules and local rules, California rules of court and local rules about not recording. So that is going to be that's information that will be sent out to everyone in advance. Someone says, is that the same as being in the courtroom? I'm not sure exactly if I understand what this is, but if we're talking about the ability to the monitoring the courtrooms, there's a difference between those two. So when you're monitoring the courtroom, it's like sitting in the gallery of a courtroom, just observing all the things going on, but you're not able to sort of speak and be on video or anything like that. You're literally just watching what's going on. Whenever you're actually in the courtroom, you will join the proceeding, and then you will actually be on screen, your camera, your audio, whatever it may be. So there's a difference between the two. So the monitoring is literally just sort of peeking into the courtroom without being on video or audio, versus when you join, you'll actually be, in a sense, in the courtroom, in the front, in the well of the courtroom. Great. That's all the questions we have. I'll just give another minute in case anyone has any other questions. Otherwise, I will just remind you all, I'm going to do the terrible thing of scrolling again. I'm going to remind you all that we would like for you to go and starting tonight and download think about one of these things. Either download the computer app on your computer. You can find the browser link as well. And then you might want to go ahead and download the mobile app. So all of these will be available starting this evening. Will this work on an iPad? Michelle, you want to speak to that?
Yes. So I wrote an answer in the chat, but yes, it will work on an iPad, but really it's recommended, especially for attorneys or active participants in a hearing, for best effects, use a computer.
Great. New question, how do we exclude witnesses when other witnesses are testifying? Judicial officers will continue to do as they've always done and sort of excluding witnesses, indicating that witnesses are to be excluded. And then, of course, as with any other sort of even in person, there'll have to be, the witnesses will have to follow that rule. So obviously that's basically the way that will work. When we have appearances in more than one courtroom at the same time, how do we get from hearing to hearing? So really, this is one of the really nice features of LACourtConnect 2.0. At any point in time, you can leave the hearing you're in by clicking the end button. It'll be the typical red button that you're used to seeing. When you do that, it will transition you right back to the main LACourtConnect page, where you will see on the left-hand side all the hearings that you're registered for. You'll see a Join Now button if that proceeding is in progress, and you can join and be basically transmitted directly into that courtroom. You can leave and go back and forth between those as much as you want. Or you can, again, be monitoring just sort of from the outside at any point in time. So hopefully you will find that to be a lot more seamless than what we've seen. When we're presenting documentary evidence, how can we put them on screen share? Michelle.
With the court's permission, they can enable screen share, and then you'll be able to share screen. In the active hearing, was that the question, David?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
I think you answered the question. So there's still an ability for the court to enable screen sharing. You'll be able to do that. Is it possible to log in to two different devices under the same user?
Yes.
You could do that.
Be careful of your bandwidth, though.
Your bandwidth, and also know that when you get pulled into a hearing, it's likely to pull both devices in at the same time. So you might have echoing and multiple camera angles, so just be aware of that. Two questions. Where will the webinar be posted for later use? I believe the LA County Bar Association will be posting it, as well as we will post it on the LACourtConnect website. So you can get that tomorrow. It should be posted later this evening, but you can get access to it tomorrow. We will also post these slides on the LACourtConnect website as well. So you should have access to those again tomorrow. Okay, I think we've answered all the questions. Certainly, if you have other questions, please feel free to reach out to us through our various communication methods. We'd be happy to answer any questions. Please join one of the sandbox sessions, again, happening, sorry for the scroll. If I could do this, it'd be a lot better. So basically, the sandbox session starting next Tuesday, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And you can sort of play with the system, make sure you understand how it works and get all your settings right. Please feel free, you can ask questions of our staff who will be there to help you. So with that, thank you so much. And you all have a great day.